Anyways, alright guys, remember yesterday we were talking about the First Crusades, we were talking about all the build-up to the First Crusades. And to just give a quick rundown about what happened yesterday, we're going to remember the OR response, which is observe, which is I see, I hear. Alright? R stands for reflect, I think. I stands for interpret, I feel. And D stands for decide, or in other words, determine. Because some of us don't understand synonyms. Anyways, remember our objectives are right here. I want you guys to write down. Please write these down. I want you guys to look them up later on your own time. And remember our essential questions are, what leads to the instability inside of empires? How did the fall of the Roman Empire lead to the rise of the Islamic Empire and the Byzantine Empire? Guys, I want you to keep that in your head when we go over these slides. Quick rundown. Alright, we can see a map of Europe right here, and as you guys remember yesterday, we were talking about this. Holy Roman Empire will later become Germany. Francia will later become France. Right this, right here, we might think of England or something like that, but it's actually called Normandy at the time, or Norman lands. Right here, this little gray area, or orange area, sorry, don't worry about it, is what will later become all of Spain, right here in this Iberian Peninsula. And right here, down south, is all Muslim controlled. And that's where actually, if we look later on in the future and we talk about World War II, this is where most of their industrial complexes are because how much the Muslims built infrastructure there. And this map is going to be really important when we start talking about World War II and nationalism. Now right here, this is the Arabian world. This is the majority of it. There's a little bit more to the east, but this is mainly what we're going to be focusing on. This will later become the Ottoman Empire, but right now this is a couple of different kingdoms all working together. Now, the social context? Yes?
There were no infighting between the Arabs, or were they, because
well,
they all wanted
there was,
control, right?
At this time, there was only around 2 different sects, but they weren't competing at this time. They weren't hyper-competitive. Right now, they understood that they wanted to expand Islam, and that their main threat was to the north. Like right here, this is a whole separate kingdom right here, and that was actually another kingdom that conquered Spain a long time ago. We talked about it earlier in class. But, yeah. In social context, I think you guys remember, we talked about feudalism, we talked about kings. Alright, we talked about Jerusalem, we talked about the propaganda that Pope Urban was talking about, saying that Muslims were killing Christians and Jews and putting them into concentration camps essentially and just doing terrible things to them. But we later talked about it. They weren't actually doing that. The main controversy was that Jews and Christians felt that they were equal to Muslims because they all relatively prayed to the same gods and Zoroastrians. We don't really talk about them, but they're still around. But Islam was in a sort of state of financial crisis, so they decided to tax Jews, Muslims, or Jews, Christians, and Zoroastrians, and that's where a lot of the conflict mainly came from. Now, this is where we left off yesterday, and I wanted to talk about the Normanlands. Now, who here watches the TV show Vikings? Ever heard of it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah? No?
Nah.
No? All right.
I just play music.
Anyways, Viking, if you watch it and you're like, oh, I wonder how historically accurate, because it's on the History Channel, it must be 100%. It's not, it's about like 70% accurate. Anyways, if you guys are familiar with the character Rollo, the king's brother, the king of the Vikings' brother, he actually becomes the first king of Normanland. He's the one that conquers this area, and if you remember earlier in the episodes where the king was talking to the English king, he was like, oh, let my people stay here, and whatever, and then he killed them all. Well, Rollo uses that to basically conquer most of England.
Yes. Is Rollo who started the English monarchy? Is that the beginning of that?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't think so. Because most of these people later on will be expelled and be called barbarians and all that kind of stuff. They mainly build up from previous Roman Empire that's there. Anyways, the Abbasids and the Fatimids. I don't know, dude, I already said, I can't. I'm not Arab. I look Arab. The beard, the hair, doesn't work out for much. Anyways, these are the 2 religious groups that I was mainly talking about. They're a little bit towards the east and the west, like this area. The Abbasids, religious authority, the Sunni Islam, challenged by Fatimid, the Shia from northern Africa. Now, who knows about Sunnis and Shiites?
I know of them. I don't know much about them.
Okay.
I know two sects of Islam.
Kiana?
They are, yes, like you said, the 2 sects of Islam,
Yeah.
But I always confuse them because it's the Sunnis are believe in a direct descendant from Muhammad,
Yes.
and then the Shiites believe in the cousin of Muhammad. So there's no direct line.
Mhm.
They just follow Muhammad's cousin after he died because the religion split once he died.
This was about 30 years. This split actually happened around 30 years after the death of Muhammad himself, and we see the rise of like the first caliphates or the 5 caliphates. And the Sunnis, again, like Kiana was just saying, believe in a direct descendant, as in you have to be a blood relative and descendant of Muhammad, and that's the only person that's allowed to have religious authority. While Shiites believe that anyone, as long as they are with the Spirit of God, can be a religious authority, as long as you put in time to study, put in time, follow the tenets that Muhammad put into place and his wife put into place.
Those are Sunnis?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the Shiites.
The Shiites.
Shiites. Oh,
Sunnis believe
Sunnis
in
are direct.
Okay.
They need
And then
Yeah.
Shiites are
But the Shiites are more observant of Islamic law and less tolerant of non-Muslims.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it'd be like the other way around. You know, since
Yeah.
the Sunnis believe in the direct.
Well, it's because the Sunnis are still part of a heritage that believe in the traditional Muhammad rules, which are Jews, Christians, and Zoroastrians are all children of God, and everyone outside of that are the infidels. While Shiites believe that you have to be 100% Muslim, so it's more hard stance on the beliefs, because Muhammad never specifically said that his descendants had to be the religious authorities. It was sort of left up. He didn't really create a sort of yeah. There you go. Thank you.
Very good word.
Succession of power. And so yeah, that's where it comes in. Conflict with the Normans over control of Sicily, heightened terrors between Christians and Muslims, spheres of influence. Now, remember we were talking yesterday about how Italy at this time right now is actually Muslim controlled. And the Christians are actually a little bit more north, and they've been trying to work their way again. So they're fighting over this area because this is really important. You can control the Mediterranean trade there.
Right.
That's really a lot of money.
That's like right. That's where is that Corinth right there, or is that Corinth more south?
I'm not sure. I'm not a geography major. So
Yeah,
Where?
I think Corinth is more south.
we're right here.
Yeah, I think it's more south.
Yeah, this area mainly controls the Mediterranean.
Right. Yeah.
Now, the Caucasus. We're gonna skip this. All right, we're gonna talk about the Great Schism today. Now, is anyone familiar with the Great Schism? Okay. What does schism mean? Do you guys know what that means?
I'm gonna say division.
Yeah.
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 Hey, all right. Cool.
Okay. We were talking yesterday how.
Oh wait. Divide is. I did see that. I swear.
It's fine. It's fine. Anyways, so yesterday we were talking about how Pope Urban started the Crusades and basically pushed his propaganda so he can reunify Christianity. Right now we're talking about Eastern Orthodox Christianity and Catholicism. Those are the two main sects of Christianity right here. There's a couple of overlay right here, as you can see. But mainly it comes down to difference of opinion. Is God the Holy Trinity collectively, or is he 3 separate entities that then represent God? And that's, I think, the majority of it, the Holy Trinity concept. And there's so much more nuance into it, but this isn't a theology class, so we're just going to really skip over most of that. Pope Gregory VII provokes investitures controversy, removes kings' formal roles of selection of Roman Catholic cardinals. So basically, at this time, Rome is trying to become the authority of Europe. And during the feudalistic state, we were talking about how there was peasants, that if you were born a peasant, you're going to die a peasant. You're probably going to live and die within the same 5 miles of your homeland. So it's a relatively boring, uninteresting life. Then you have the lord of the land, or the landlord, if you will, and you'll pay taxes to them. And the lords will then owe either allegiance to an archbishop, like I was saying earlier, or another higher lord, like a duke. And the dukes will pay allegiance to the king, and the archbishop will pay allegiance to the pope. And the pope is trying to basically unify Europe under his control, trying to remove kings, and trying to remove his authority, even though Pope at this time is more of a republic, if you will. The kings basically put in some consensus on the cardinals who will elect the pope. Everyone YMCA. There we go. Anyways, so Gregory's trying to take over Europe right now. And since Europeans become vassals of the Pope, ignored requests to help the Byzantine defend against Seljuk attacks. I'm not going to pretend I know how to say that word. So, that. And Saul's punishment for Great Schism. The Great Schism splits Christianity into Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox, branches along lines of Old Western and Eastern Roman Empire borders. So, Eastern Roman Empire borders, basically, you guys know about the split between the Roman empires. Remember that? We were talking about this. We have Roman Empire traditional, and then we have the Byzantine Empire. And that's because Rome became so big that it was basically impossible to rule both halves of the kingdom at the same time. And basically down that exact same line is where we see the split between Christianity. We see Catholicism in Rome traditional, and we see Eastern Orthodoxy in Byzantine traditional. Anyways, so now we're going to talk about Pope Urban II. He continues, and he's a successor of Gregory VII, and he's basically pushing more and more. Said he's actually more active in trying to take over kingdoms, and he relatively succeeds for the majority of it. You know, in the Holy Roman Empire area, and we see him start pushing more into France and Francia and like a little south into Italy. But a lot of people are rebelling against him, especially the Eastern Orthodox, and they don't recognize him as their pope, and they elect their own pope. And yeah, Pope. And Pope Urban's response to this is that he needs to find some sort of reason to unify all of Christianity, to find one specific goal that all of Christianity can fall behind. And he says, the Muslim world is our enemy.